Hello and welcome to the Healthy School Food Summit brought to you by the Coalition for Healthy School Food and PlantPure. I'm Ron Gandiza, your host. Today, my special guest is Kim Korona with HEART, or the Humane Education Advocates Reaching Teachers. Kim Korona is the HEART's Senior Program Director. She received her BA from Goddard College in Vermont and her Master's in Education from Cambridge College in Massachusetts in affiliation with the Institute for Humane Education in Maine. She previously interned at the Vermont Youth Conservation Corps. In addition to her role as a Park Corps member, she led education programs on recycling and composting and provided youth craft activities utilizing natural materials. She also interned and worked for a summer at Farm Sanctuary in California, helping with cleaning barns, feeding the animals, and became an assistant animal caregiver. Her first formal position as a humane educator was with the Michigan Humane Society, developing and teaching animal welfare programs. At the same time, she began facilitating humane education and humane living workshops for the Institute for Humane Education. She started working for HEART 8 years ago, and in that time has taught humane education programs for youth of all ages in various venues, developed curriculum and other educational resources, and conducted professional development training for educators. Additionally, she serves on the board of VegMichigan and lives with her spouse, Tom, and their rescued cat, Fetch. Welcome, Kim.
Well, thank you so much. Honestly, on behalf of HEART, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you to you and the Coalition for Healthy School Food and PlantPure Nation for having HEART.
Obviously, you've had a love for animals for quite some time, and I'd like to learn more about that. What's your story? How did you get involved with helping people on this path towards with humane education?
Well, thanks so much for asking. So, as a young child, I definitely always had an affinity for animals. I grew up with them, and I think that's true for a lot of kids, that they have a natural affinity to animals. And I also had a real concern whenever I saw any type of suffering. I grew up in Detroit. I saw a lot of people who were living on the street. Sometimes I saw dogs that were chained up in backyards, and it always really concerned me. And I knew from a young age that I wanted to do work to just, make the world a more fair and just place for everyone. And then when I was in high school, my sister heard a story on the radio about child labor, and we were really concerned about it. And we decided we wanted to do something. So we mailed away for these activist child labor kits to kind of inform people about what was going on. And this was really led me on a path to just questioning everything and being aware of hidden forms of exploitation and questioning my own behaviors and actions and seeing how I could make systemic change. So it started very personal. And after learning about child labor, then I learned about factory farming. And it just was a natural thing to me that this was also something I didn't want to support. So I started making a lot of personal choices. I became vegetarian shortly after I became vegan. But I knew just doing change on my own wasn't enough for me. I wanted to make bigger change, longer lasting change. And while I was interning at Farm Sanctuary, I learned about the Institute for Humane Education. And they had just started a graduate program where you could get a master's in education and you could learn how to teach youth about the most pressing issues facing our world today. Within those programs, fostering empathy, promoting critical thinking, encouraging youth empowerment, and really helping kids to have a safe space for dialogue, to learn about these problems, decide how they feel themselves, and provide them with awareness of things they could do if they wanted to take action, both in their personal behaviors as well as larger systemic change. So when I learned about this school and that this was an actual job, I knew I found my life's calling. Like, this was what I was meant to do. And it's such joyful work because, as activists, wanting to make change can be difficult and frustrating and depressing, but working with kids and seeing them learn about it and being concerned and wanting to do something, it's inspiring and it gives me hope. So that's really how I came to do this work. And HEART really follows the pedagogy that was the education that is promoted by the Institute for Humane Education.
Well, tell us more about HEART. I'm really happy for you because it's to be able to do what you love, and to have a cause, a mission, and incorporate that, because sometimes they're not, in sync with each other. Obviously, HEART's been a really big outlet for you, if you will, to channel all of that passion. So what is heart?
Yeah, knowing that heart existed was just a dream come true. So when I was able to work for them, it just changed my life. And Heart is a full service, comprehensive humane education 501c3 public charity. So we do direct service for students K to 12. We teach in school, after school, summer camps. We've even run our own summer camp in the past. We also create educational resources and do training so that other people can learn how to do humane education. And we do advocacy to promote humane education, to try to make people aware of humane education laws that already exist, and to encourage more humane education laws in new states. And the way that we define it and what we teach is, a broad range of topics, including oppressive child labor, dog and cat homelessness and puppy mill issues, farm animal protection, food justice issues, climate change, and that's just a handful of the topics that we cover. And within those topics, we're really trying to teach kids to decide for themselves how they feel about these issues, to build reverence for all living beings on the planet, to promote critical thinking, as I mentioned earlier, to kind of get them to question how things are, and then to really provide them an opportunity to decide, if I'm concerned about this, what can I do to make a positive difference? And definitely food justice issues and healthy food is a huge part of what we teach, and students are really concerned about this topic and really engaged in it. And we also do provide opportunities for service projects, so that if kids are concerned about these problems, we help facilitate them to do projects where they can make a difference and do something positive.
What's your most popular program?
Yeah, so just to sort of explain how we do K to 12, with K to 2, we really are trying to foster reverence for other people, other species on the planet. And when it comes to farm animals, so few kids really know about their social, emotional, and intellectual lives. So we really just try to foster reverence for them, and get kids to realize how much their families are important to them and how we're more similar than different. And then with our older kids, as we get into 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, we start really teaching them about the issues and getting them to kind of question these issues, what's going on in the world. And when it comes to again with farm animals, if that's one of the topics we want to focus on, we start teaching them about factory farming, obviously in very age-appropriate ways, and getting them to think critically about what's going on and how they feel about it, and learning what they can do. And then as kids get older, we talk about those issues, but we also want them to start thinking philosophically about what's our relationship to others, and what do I think should be the protections for other species, and why, and what's our relationship to them. So depending on the age group, we kind of have different levels of development that we focus on. And then with the service projects, once they learn the content, and like I said, we teach so many different issues, and like we have a 10-lesson program, and we'll come in once a week and we'll teach a different issue. So depending on the age group, we're fostering reverence for different people, animals on our planet. And then for 4 through 6, starting to get into some of these serious issues, and then with high school, really challenging them to dig deep into these systemic problems. So we come in once a week and we teach about these issues, and we show how they're all connected, and that the root causes of exploitation usually are coming from the same place, taking advantage of someone for someone else's profit. And then we also are encouraging that if we really want to live with empathy and compassion, how does that affect our treatment of other people, both in our personal lives and our global world? How does that impact our treatment of other species, both the dogs and cats that live with us, and the farm animals and the wildlife with whom we share the planet? And how does that affect how we live in our local community, as well as protecting our global community? So that's really how we tie it all together, is them seeing it's about living with our core humane values, and how that what that looks like in our behaviors. And it's not telling them what to do or what to think, but fostering these values and then having them decide, if I want to live with these values, what does that mean for me in terms of the choices that I make, in terms of policies that I want to support, in terms of people I want to vote for, in terms of volunteer work that I want to do. And they decide those things. We don't tell them, but it's taking our core values and applying them to all aspects of our lives.
I'm assuming then the impact when they go into the cafeteria, to choose what they're going to eat now starts to have a bit more meaning.
It's really interesting that you're bringing this up because it can be challenging sometimes when kids learn about certain issues and now they feel really passionate and they want to take action, and they may not have options that align with what actions they want to take. So we were really lucky when we ran our own summer camp. We were able to provide them options that connected to some of the things we were talking about so they could try them. So when we ran our own camp, we had an all vegan lunch, and we offered the lunches for free. So the kids could opt into the vegan lunch. And some of them had never had a veggie burger before. They had never had some of the local healthy food that we were offering to them. And they were really interested in it, and they wanted to try it. And the other thing that was exciting was we offered them things that were vegan and plant-based that they had already eaten. They just didn't realize. So like whole wheat pasta with marinara sauce, or tacos with beans and fresh veggies. And they're like, oh, we know these foods, and this tastes good. And then we're making those connections that, well, these are actually healthy plant-based foods that, you can have anytime that, you maybe eat, and you just maybe change a couple of the things that you're putting in those foods. So the kids are like, well, these are things we already like, and we're just modifying them a little bit. And so they were really excited to be able to try them. And we had actually partnered with the Coalition for Healthy School Food, and they came in, and after the kids had learned about, large-scale farming, and again, we teach in a comprehensive way, how the animals are treated, what's happening to the environment, what's happening to the workers. And then the coalition came in and said, if you're learning about this, here's some healthy options. And they made them kale smoothies. And some of the kids had never had kale before, and they saw this drink that was green, and they were a little unsure. And then when they drank it, they loved it. They loved it. And when the extra kale, they all wanted to take it home and share it with their families. So the kids get really excited about these issues. They're excited to try it, and they're excited to share it with their families.
Well, that's a big deal right there, being able to take what they learn from school and now share what they're doing, sharing their great, habits now. Hopefully,
exactly,
eating better and sharing that with their parents and their siblings.
Exactly. And when schools are willing to, that was our own camp that we were able to run, but when schools are willing to let us come in and offer these programs, it would be really great if there could also be healthy school food options in the cafeteria. So if kids want to try those things, they can, because sometimes, like I said, they just haven't been exposed to it before. And, schools have a great opportunity to provide that for kids. And like I said, to teach it in a sustainable way, that this is healthier for you, it's healthier for the planet, it's kind to animals, and, just letting them know this is an option that's out there for you.
As a program developer myself, in building these programs, I know there's a lot of work and effort that goes into it. And, you need support from the community, especially when you're working with a program such as this. So fill us in about what you're doing now and how people can help.
Oh, well, thanks. That's great to ask. So a few years ago, we actually created an animal resource guide, and we co-created it with the ASPCA and the International Fund for Animal Welfare. And in this guide, it has lessons on animal companions, on farmed animals, and on wildlife. And it's for free on our website, so that more educators can teach these topics. So if anyone's familiar with that guide, or if you're not, you can download it. And now currently we're creating a comprehensive resource guide. And this guide is divided into themes. One of the themes, for example, for 3 to 5 is the empathy connection. And within the empathy connection, we're going to have lessons about empathy for other people, other species, and the planet. And within each theme, we're really trying to teach educators how you can teach about these things in a holistic way, and how all these things are related to everyone. And we're also developing a 6 to 12 guide. And in that guide, we're going to have some specific issues. And one of the themes is called What's on Your Plate. And it's going to really be talking about delving into this theme from a holistic point of view. So these guides are going to be available soon. Our K to 5 guide will be available hopefully by June, and our 6 to 12 guide will be available in the fall. And again, these are going to be resources available on our website, and we definitely want people to visit our website, teachheart.org, and use these resources. Whether you're an in-classroom educator or you're a youth leader in some way, these lessons are for you, these activities are for you. And, we just want more people to teach humane education. We can't have enough humane educators. It's a really good way to educate others about these issues, get them to decide for themselves what they think. And you can't make choices that align with your values if you don't know what's going on in the world. So the more people that can spread this information and let people know about it, the more kids can decide for themselves what they think and what they want to do about it.
We have this big uproar right now where people are saying, well, why provide healthy options in school, because kids are just throwing away the food. They're not, you make it available to them, but they're just tossing it in the trash, which is costing the schools more money. So there's that uproar right now. Yet what we're seeing is, without the education programs like yours, the programs you just talked about are so critical, because that's when kids connect the dots. And when they go into that lunchroom, that cafeteria, then they're like, oh yes, what I eat does matter.
I'm so glad you're saying this, because we've seen it with our own eyes. In teaching them about it, then they become really interested and engaged. Like you said, you can't just kind of give them something without giving them background on it. So we've taught them, a lot of times we'll do a 10-week content program. And once the kids learn about the content, we'll come back and we'll facilitate service learning projects. And we tell them, you can choose what issue you're concerned about, and we're going to help facilitate you in creating your own project and implementing it. And we've had a lot of kids choose service projects related to food issues, related to farm animals, so they are interested and engaged. So I'll just give a couple examples. We had one class of students, they were really concerned about farm animals and their treatment, and they decided to raise enough money to sponsor an animal from a farm animal sanctuary. And this was a really underserved area, and it was a lot for the kids to raise that much money, but they really wanted to do it, and they wanted to support the rescue of farm animals. And there was another group of kids, once they learned about food choices, they created a healthy school food menu that they wanted to have in their cafeteria, so the kids knew which food options were healthier and better for them, and to promote their school providing more healthy food options. They wanted to have salad in their cafeteria because they had learned about these things and they wanted to be healthier. We had another group of kids, they were concerned about all the different forms of exploitation with large-scale farming, and each class within the grade range, so it was 5th grade, and one 5th grade class did created a whole presentation about the welfare of farm animals. Another group created a whole presentation about the issues with the planet. And another group created a whole presentation about health and the exploitation of the workers. And then they had a huge assembly for their younger peers in the school. And they wanted them to know about these issues and also to know about actions they could take. We had one girl in our summer camp, when she learned about large-scale farming, she created her own petition and went door to door to all the people in her building and her apartment and asked them to sign it to create better laws to protect farm animals. I did a high school where the kids learned about large-scale farming. We showed them portions of Food Inc. at the time, and they were so outraged, and they said, well, why don't we have more healthy plant-based options in our community? And so they wrote letters to the government saying, you need to subsidize local farmers and farmers markets, and we want them in our area because we want healthy plant-based food options. We didn't tell them what to write. They said, we want to write letters and we want better policies because we don't even have access to this in our community. Because some people will say, well, what about when you're teaching kids and maybe they don't have access to these things? Well, they want to, and why don't they have access? And that can be part of your lesson.
Even if we get plant-based options, like you said, into the menus, that's not going to help without, like you said, the education and the programs you're doing. That's exciting when you can encourage where you're naturally getting kids excited about and learning more and taking action on their own. That's amazing.
They become the advocates. They really become the advocates for wanting these things. We took the group to a field trip to rooftop garden and they got to harvest, you never saw kids so excited to eat carrots because they pulled the carrots themselves and then they wanted to eat them. So when they get the opportunity to be involved, like you said, right, in the dirt, gardening themselves, when they get to talk to farmers markets and learn about how they're growing local organic food, they get excited and they want to try it. So it's really like it's awareness and then having the opportunity to try it once they know. And you're letting them decide for themselves.
I love it. I love it. I just absolutely love the whole concept. I love your execution on this program. And it's so amazing how you have these programs going on. I'm betting a lot of people watching this have never even thought that a program like this, your humane education programs in schools, are even there. They don't even know they exist. So what's your advice for people who are wanting to bring these programs, these humane education programs, into their schools, or maybe it's school administrators or teachers? How do they approach their own schools about this?
Yeah, well, I say anyone who's considering doing more humane education within their organization, or, if you're a parent or concerned citizen and you want to try to bring it in, to do it. There's never enough, and many times schools are very interested, especially if you can offer the programs for free. They're interested in extra programs, and it's all about the approach. Again, it's not coming in telling the kids what to think or what to do. It's really having good critical thinking questions, fostering reverence, and then, once they're discussing and, they're concerned, letting them know what are options if they want to take action. But it's creating that safe space. And if you let the schools know that you have this approach where you're not telling the kids what they have to think, but you're just, providing this information, you're offering critical thinking, many times they're very interested. And also, one of the effective ways that we get into schools is we align our curriculum to the standards, because the schools have a lot of expectations on them, and it's hard for them to have something extra. But, our resources are aligned to the standards. You don't have to recreate the wheel, and you can let them know this is aligning to what you have to do anyway. They have to read informational text. They have to learn certain speaking and listening skills. All that's part of our program. It's not just someone in front of the classroom lecturing. So if the school knows that you're meeting the standards they have to meet anyway, that it's a way for them to promote these skills. Most schools think critical thinking is really important. They think service learning is really important. So you say, I can provide this for you at low cost or no cost. They're going to be really engaged and interested. And in terms of contacting the school, you never know what the school is interested. Sometimes we get in by contacting the principal. Sometimes it's the assistant principal. Sometimes it's a parent coordinator. Sometimes it's a counselor. Sometimes it's a teacher. So just contact a lot of people in the school. Find out who's interested. Be really transparent, honest with what you're offering. And many times they're really excited and interested. Food justice issues are so important today. Climate change, is so related to our food choices, and kids are really concerned about these things. So you let them know we have a good program that's going to just, delve into these issues and give kids a chance to think about it. And we're going to let them know options if they want to, take action and do something.
Obviously, you've had success in getting into schools. Where can people learn more about and how to get involved?
Yeah, so please, we want people to stay in touch with us. You can visit us at teachheart.org. That's our website. We also have a Facebook page where we let people know what we're doing. We write a blog, so you can read about, ways to teach youth and different activities and topics. And when you go to our website, we have a free e-newsletter you can sign up for as well. So, and we have a Twitter page, we have Pinterest. So you can definitely find us online, and you can find our resources. Our animal resource guide is free and downloadable, so people have access to it. And then we'll be having our comprehensive human education resource guide coming out very soon. So you can definitely find us, and we have lots of resources available for you.
It's clear that you're very passionate about what you do. And I really rarely find someone who's not passionate when you're in this business of helping kids.
Exactly.
So what is it you want to see happen within the next 5 years with your programs, with the industry itself?
Well, I really want to see humane education just flourishing, that people recognize the importance of it for a better world for us all, and that in 5 years that we have inspired a generation of change makers, so that when these youth grow up, they are the ones creating, humane policy. They're volunteering to make the world a better place. They're involved in personal actions. I want to see a generation of change makers, and that, we helped inspire them to make this world a more humane place for themselves, other people, other species, and our entire planet.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you so much.
And again, we want to thank Kim Korona with Heart. And you can also learn more about the efforts of the Coalition for Healthy School Food at healthyschoolfood.org, and learn more about PlantPure Nation and our efforts in the plant-based movement at plantpurenation.com. Again, thank you, Kim, for all the hard work, and keep pressing on. We love it. We want to see this in all the schools.
Oh, thank you so much, Ron. It was really a pleasure. I had a great time.
Again, thanks everyone for joining us here at the Healthy School Food Summit.